One time when I was in high school, we we decided to, all get together. So all the bad boys, all the thugs, the gangsters, from different gangs, different crews. So we were cool with each other. We were basically allies, and we decided to go make money. We would all, hustle and make our money in different ways, and especially my gang. Me, I personally was not involved in any narcotics dealing or anything like that because my family owned a plumbing company at the time, and I would go work there on the weekends at the plumbing office. So I was getting paid pretty good. I was getting paid like $15 an hour while I was a teenager, which was good money for a teenager, especially at that time in the 90s. So we decided to get together, me and all these bad kids, teenagers, adults. The oldest guy was about 27, 26 or 27. We decided to go to DC, Georgetown, and we took a cab there, and the cab dropped us off at the Exorcist stairs, and we thought it was so cool to walk up and down it, and it proved that youth, they like to play with evil. They like to play with fire, and that's what we were doing, and mostly all of the teenagers in the high school were doing this. And afterwards we decided that we were gonna go rob some people, and we did. We would post up at the canal in Georgetown in the waterfront, and as soon as victims start walking over the bridge or something, we would go hold them up at gunpoint. And it was sad. And none of this was my idea, of course, but I was just fitting in. I was going along with the flow, and I was the youngest. I was the youngest person there, a part of the group. I was the youngest one. And there is this one, I believe, Pakistani guy who was a college student at Georgetown University, and he got robbed by one of our guys, Big Pun. In front of me, Big Pun had the gun to him, had the gun to his throat, and he threatened to pull the trigger if he didn't give him the money. And this Pakistani guy pulled out his pager, his wallet, and he was giving everything. He said, "Please don't kill me, please don't kill me." And Pun was still trigger happy, wanted to shoot him because Pun was intoxicated and he was imbibed with alcohol. And when you imbibe alcohol, you have like the demons inside you, and you're more vulnerable to commit a major sin when you're intoxicated. And being the youngest one, I also had like the best heart that manifestly proved to be true that night, because I immediately yelled at Big Pun, and I had no authority. Nobody would have the guts to yell at Big Pun. He was like the leader, and I yelled at him, and he pointed the gun at me. And I wasn't scared that he pointed the gun at me. I was actually happy that he pointed the gun at me and took the gun away from the guy's throat that we were robbing, because I had a feeling that he would not shoot me, and if he did, I didn't care. I wasn't scared of dying, and I felt like I would be saving that guy's life, because the man that we were robbing started to cry, and that really, that broke my heart. And he was like, "Please, I have a family. Please don't kill me. Please, I'll give you guys anything you want. I'll write y'all a check. Just let me go home. I'll write y'all a check." And Big Pun put the gun to his throat because he thought that the guy was trying to set him up. He's like, "You think we're gonna let you go home? You think we fools? You know?" And Allah knows best what the man's intention was. But I asked Big Pun. I was like, "Please give him his stuff back." And this other guy, Mark, who was there, who was a big tough guy, he was on steroids and stuff, he went to Big Pun. He's like, "Man, move the gun away from O." And so Big Pun moved the gun away from me, and Mark was like, "Listen to O, man, he's a good kid. Give this guy all of his stuff back, man. Give him his pager, give him his wallet, let him be on his way. We're sorry, man, we're sorry." And Big Pun was like, "No, I'm gonna kill him right now." And it was a big dispute, and I was so scared. I was like, he's about to kill some innocent person. And then I started crying. I started crying for the person that we were robbing. And I said, "Please let him go." I was begging Big Pun, "Please let him go." And Big Pun was like, looked like he had the devil inside of him, man. I'm pretty sure he did. He took the pager and he threw it in the canal, in the water, in the river. And and like it was just crazy, man. He started hitting the guy, pistol whipping the guy, and it was just so sad. And I was crying, and I guess my tears sort of helped Big Pun to finally, just stop. And we went down into the canal looking for the guy's pager, and we found his pager in the water because the canal was only a few feet deep. And we got it back to him, and we apologized to him, and we told him, "Go, man, just don't call the cops." And we said, if you call the cops, most likely you're gonna get killed. And he was thanking us, and he left. But a few minutes later, while we were walking up on M Street in Georgetown, the police, surrounded us. There were so many police cars that surrounded us, and cops pulled out, guns, and we all had to go, get against the wall. We had our hands on the glass of a restaurant, on the front glass, and all these, people were looking at us. It was like definitely a sight to see. And me being the youngest one, I was the smallest one, and my pants were so big. I had windbreakers on, these Fila windbreakers, red Fila windbreakers, and I had a red Fila shirt and red shoes. And that wasn't my favorite color. I loved blue, but I just happened to be wearing red that day, and it was extra baggy. So my windbreakers, my pants was falling down. So I put my hands down to lift my pants up, and this white police officer, old police officer, I know he was racist too for a fact, because he was happy when he kicked me in my back, and he pistol whipped me, and then he held a gun to my head, a loaded gun to my head. Everybody, Mark and all my Billy and John and Big Pun, everybody started yelling at the cops, "He's just a kid. He's just a kid. Don't shoot him. He's just a kid. He's just a kid." And back then it was known for police brutality, especially in Washington D.C., where they could pull the trigger and they won't, nothing will happen to them. They would have an excuse. Luckily I didn't get shot. And I had a feeling I wasn't gonna get shot, but then again I wasn't scared of getting shot. And I guess this being fearless has to do with sort of the government's fault, the county or the state, because advising for me to go to a mental hospital, advising for me to be on medication, advising me to be oppressed, and then my mom for agreeing with it, and then being manipulated by my stepfather, it sort of became, made me audacious at such a young age. I had to become an adult so fast. And if you do your research, you would learn that a lot of these kids, like 4, 5, 6-year-olds who take medication, what is the medication's name, like Zoloft, and also there's a lot of medications. They end up committing suicide. They end up killing other people, like the Columbine shooting, and it's sad. It's a mind-altering narcotic, a drug, and they just consider it to be legal because they're making billions, if not trillions of dollars off of these medications. So I think that's something that helped make me audacious, and I don't know if helped is a good word in this sentence. I think it's what morphed me or mutated me into this audacious individual, a fearless individual. So after the cops had us against the store and searching us, Big Pun was very smart, and he threw the gun, and the other guys threw their weapons. They had switchblades, knives, and stuff like that, and I didn't have anything on me, so they couldn't arrest any of us because we were all clean. We didn't have nothing on us, and no proof. And so we ended up leaving. The cops had no choice but to let us go. And as we were leaving, there was 2 Arab guys, and they were driving in this big Crown Vic, this Crown Vic car, and it looked like a police car, but it wasn't. And they were both Arabs, and they were definitely intoxicated, and they were coming from a club or something, and I guess they seen me, and they thought I was an Arab boy, and they said, you guys want to ride? You want to ride? And we're like, yeah, we want to ride, yeah. So we got in the car. We all packed inside the car. It was crazy. And the Arab guy started asking me questions where I'm from, and I told him, I was like, well, my mom's from Afghanistan, and my father is mixed, and they're like, are you Muslim? I was like, I don't think so. I grew up Christian. I'm a Christian. They're like, no, 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 you have to be Muslim, and how your mom's from Afghanistan, you have to be Muslim, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, saying all this. I was like, well, I'm a Christian. And then it was a big debate inside the car, and all my friends were all Christians or Catholics, and they had rosaries and crosses on, and so it was a religious debate. And then next thing you know, they pull over the car, and all of these guys are fighting over me. The two Arab guys, were pulling me, saying, you coming with us, we're gonna teach you, get away from these shaitan, get away from these shaitan. And then my boys are like, you know what, you coming with us, man, these guys are crazy, man, we're your family, come with us. And it was like a tug of war, like to the point where they were pulling, knives out, and gun, Pun pulled his gun out. It was crazy, all over me. And I said, it's not worth it. And I told, just to save any guns from being fired or anyone getting stabbed, because even the Arab guys, one of the guys was so audacious, he ripped his own shirt off and he took a knife and he was cutting himself like this. I'm crazy, come on. And again, this alcohol like put shaitan, and it just changes people, and I'm pretty sure people regret later on when they see a scar on themselves, when they feel like crap the next day, and to save any, to save from like things, the situation getting worse, I told the Arab guys, I was like, these are my friends, I've known them for a long time, we just met you guys. I was like, you guys are nice enough to give us a ride, thank you so much. I was like, but I'm Christian, I'm not a Muslim, but I don't hate y'all. I told him, I was like, I have to go with my friends. I was like, thank you so much. And I swear by Allah, both of those guys, those Arab Muslim guys, became so sad. And I was telling all my friends, let's go. And we had to cross a bridge from Washington, D.C. into Virginia. And the bridge that we crossed were train tracks. It was a train track. And it was the longest bridge that I've ever crossed walking. And it was such a bad timing because while we were crossing it, a train, one of those long trains, was coming. And the train ended up almost hitting Big Pun because he was a big, fat guy. And he was the last person to cross the train tracks. So Mark had to run back in the middle of the train tracks on the bridge and hang off with Pun so the train doesn't hit him, and they were hanging off the bridge over the Potomac River. Like, it was definitely like a scene from a movie. And I mean, these things in situations that's happened and that happens in my life, or that has happened and even continues to happen in my life, is jaw-dropping, is astonishing, is enticing, it's interesting, dramatic, sad and happy, and to be continued, I guess.